This morning, I'm here to talk to you about food and mood. For those who know me, my name is Emma Zuhad. I'm very passionate about health, simply because I have seen God transform my life through health and the message that we have in the Bible. Can what we eat really affect your happiness? We start with the Bible reading, Genesis 1, verses 29. Thank you. And God said, Behold, I have given you every herb bearing seed, which is upon the face of all the earth, and every tree, in the which is the fruit of the tree yielding seed. To you it shall be for meat. Amen. Let's pray. God, Father, I come to you this morning. I give you thanks and praise because you're a true God. I give you thanks for the health message, Lord. I give you thanks, Father, because even in the middle of all the mess, you had created some peace for us. God, I pray that you'll rest on my mind. Use me, Lord, as your vessel this morning. As I pass your word, Lord, let it be coming from you. Give me the right words, so that your people can understand what you have to tell us. In Jesus I pray. Amen. Now, this week actually, from the 13th to the 19th of May, is Mental Awareness Week in the UK. And I thought when Sister Sophie asked me to come and do something, I thought what a perfect time to be talking about mental health, or rather food and mood. And in fact, we know that mood is what leads to a lot of mental health issues that we see. It's quite heartening to see that actually the mental health issue is being taken very seriously. And this will make a massive difference in how mental health is seen. And the stigma, especially, which is of this invisible condition, hopefully will be lessened. That is really good for UK. Unfortunately, for some of our societies, we're still far from there. I think, especially, I remember growing up, for those who come from Kenya, you do remember when someone went a bit mental, we call them mwenda, is someone you have to run away from. That mentality has not changed a lot. If anything, someone who's got mental illness is always seen as someone who's either possessed with the evil and they need to be run out from, and also they're seen as an embarrassment in the families. So most of the time we actually don't even want to associate ourselves with them. And while in the UK it's very different. If you have mental illness, it's actually just another condition. You just need to see your doctor and follow the information as you're told. Looking at the statistics, this actually quite shocked me, that 1 in 4 in the UK will experience a mental health problems this year. That's quite a huge percentage, or rather a huge number. And 8 to 12% of the population suffer from depression, and this is one of the most common mental problems. Surprisingly as well, 3 children in every classroom now is diagnosable with mental health issues. And an estimated of 1 to 6 people experience common mental disorder, things like depression or anxiety in the past week. So really, in every week, we have that kind of numbers happening. There's a range of problems with mental illness. Some, as we can see, the common ones, and some even rare ones like schizophrenia or bipolar disorders. So really, mental health problem can affect anyone, any day of any year, according to these statistics. And when we look at the gender balance, this is statistics taken in England 2014 by the GPs. We see actually a lot of women have got a lot of issues, and especially the younger girls. So I think it's just good for us to see and to understand that we seem to see quite a high percentage of women and young girls having higher mental issues. It could be things like depression, but I think sometimes we just take lightly, a child is not happy and we just think, oh, she's gonna get over it. And that is what progresses to become more than just another depression or another unhappy child. And we can also see it's not just the girls, because even the men very steadily from the early years, it doesn't seem to go down until when they're over 65. So it's still a major concern. In Hosea 4:6, the Bible says, "My people perish because they lack knowledge. Saying then that thou hast refused understanding, therefore will I refuse thee also, so that thou shalt no more be my priest. And for so much as thou hast forgotten the law of God, I will also forget thy children." But there is hope, because in Philippians 4:6-7, the Bible says, "Be anxious for nothing, but in everything by prayer and supplication, with thanksgiving, let your requests be known to God, and the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and your mind in Jesus Christ."
Amen.
How lucky we are. I think if we have Jesus in us, all we need to do is actually say a prayer, and God will take care of our mental issues. So, what is the secret to good mood? I thought this was a very interesting saying by Hippocrates. He says, "All diseases begin in the gut." So I was quite interested. I thought, if it says all diseases starts in the gut, does that mean also the mental conditions also start in the gut? What does that have? What is the correlation between the two? We all know that the food we eat affects how we feel. We feel tired after we have a very massive big roast, and we get a kick when we have a cup of coffee, for example. But can food really improve the mood and make you feel happier? It's a sounding yes. There are many reasons why certain food can help to improve our mood, while others can contribute to the suffering and mental issues. So the secret lies in eating in a way that can boost our levels of happiness and a substance in the brain called serotonin. And since that is quite a large mouthful word, I thought good to look at some scientific jargons. So what is serotonin and glutamate and transmitters? What do they mean? So serotonin is a chemical produced naturally in your brain that affects the way you feel. For example, it makes you feel happy or calmer, and also it can also regulate your sleep and appetite and more others. Glutamate is a neurotransmitter that sends signals to the brain and throughout the nerves in the body. And neurotransmitter are a special type of chemical compound that occurs naturally in your body. So the neurotransmitters, glutamate, is produced in your body and is also found in many foods. Their role is to carry the impulses from one part of the brain to another, and from the brain to the rest of the body. Neurotransmitters works by sending signals throughout between the nerves, cells, and neurons, which are found throughout the brain, spinal cord, and the rest of the nerves. So really, I think for me, I just wanted to understand what does it all mean? So obviously we can see that there's a happy hormone that we have in our system, the serotonin, but actually, rather than just having that, there's what we have the transmitters, we have the glutamate that all helps to move the happy hormone throughout our body. So unless we are doing something right, if we have it incorrectly, the opposite is also true. Okay. Dozens of different neurotransmitters are at work in your system. Glutamate plays an important role during brain development. Normal levels of glutamate also help with learning and memory. Having too much glutamate in the brain has been associated with neurological diseases such as Parkinson, multiple sclerosis, Alzheimer, stroke, and ALS. So at high concentration, glutamate can overexcite nerve cells, causing them to die. Prolonged excitation is toxic to nerve, causing damage over time. And this is known as excitotoxicity. It just means that it's toxic that's gone in the brain as a result of being overexcited, and it kills some of our nerves. So problem in making or using glutamate has also been linked to a number of mental health disorders, including autism, schizophrenia, depression, and obsessive compulsive disorders, OCD. And I think this is quite common nowadays. It's like you hear everyone's got OCD, and I just wanted to understand why. Really, what we eat is impacting some of these things. So glutamate and food. So glutamate is naturally occurring amino acids found in many different types of foods. Amino acids are the building blocks of protein. And glutamate is perhaps best known as the food additives, MSG. I think for anyone who's ever visited Chinese, I remember when I came to the UK, having been fed by my mom since I was a young girl, when I came to the UK and I tasted some of the food, I thought, oh my gosh, my mom couldn't cook, because all of a sudden I was tasting something really, really nice, but actually some of these things are not natural. And that is what MSG is all about. So we do have some natural MSG which do not harm us, which are found in things like tomatoes, cheeses, mushrooms, seaweed, and soy. But also we do have a lot of artificials MSG, and that is where the issue is. So you'll find a lot of MSG in a lot of processed foods as well, because they're trying to make the food taste good. Naturally, that food would taste really horrible by itself, but the fact that they're adding all these additives, that is what is making the food taste good, and we want to eat more. It does get to part of our brain, as we've seen in the glutamate, and it starts exciting our brain. The only problem with that, we've seen that when we overexcite our brain, it leads to toxic, and that starts killing our brains. So some of the MSG side effects, the receptors in the brain become incapable of receiving this signal despite its increased production by fat cell, which leads to an increased appetite. I think that is so true. Back to my story, when I came here, I used to go to eat as much as you can. I don't know I'm sure none of you have gone there. It's only you have, right? And I thought, oh my gosh, I can't get enough of this food. I was just eating and eating. And until I was thinking, either is it that good or, now I know there's a chemical, an artificial chemical that was behind my eating. So this becomes actually really dangerous, especially if you're trying to lose weight, because some of the issues that they have seen, when someone is overweight, you're most likely to be to have mental issues, whether it's depression, feeling isolation, and not feeling to fit in. So really, we do want to make sure that we're eating natural food. And so I did say, what was the connection between the gut and my mood? Really, I just couldn't get the two. My stomach and my brain, they're far apart, but actually there's a very close link. So we all know that we get the gut feelings, we do say that, or sometimes the butterflies in the stomach, and there's physical reasons why we do that. So our gut is our second brain, or more, or on a more technically, our enteric nervous system. It is equipped with its own reflexes and senses, and can control gut behavior independently of the brain. And about 90% of the fibers in the primary visceral nerve, the vagus nerve, carry about information from the gut to the brain and not the other way around. And 90% of our serotonin is in the gut. So that's where it is. So if you really want to be happy, it needs to start from inside. Because what we're eating is what is going to be sent to your brain. And if you're eating the wrong things, it simply means that you're going to be sending the wrong messages to your brain, and that's where we get all the issues. So in addition to the gut nervous system and its neurotransmitters, our gut bacteria also plays a significant role in how we feel. This is because the microorganisms in our guts also secrete a profound number of chemicals that regulate mood, including serotonin. Indeed, there's also a growing link between intestinal disorders and high level of depression. Now, I think what I just wanted to show from this diagram is you can see on the parts where you're seeing more red, those are some of the conditions that you're most susceptible to get when you're having a poor diet, and on the right hands are the benefits that you get. So I think we'll be sharing this PowerPoint presentation for anyone who wants to go more and just to understand. And I think just very quickly, and I know I'm going to be getting out of my topic here, I just wanted to explain a little bit about what happens in the gut. Now, in the gut, we do have what is called the villi. They're like finger-likes. And what happens with when we eat the food, the villi divides everything that comes in. It's what decides what will go inside your bloodstream. Anything like a vitamin D, vitamin K, whatever that is coming through, or zinc, and anything else that is not required inside your system, it will reject, and that comes as waste. However, when your gut is compromised, the villi starts to expand. And when they start to expand, it means that now there are things that should not get inside your bloodstream that start coming in. And that is how we end up getting what is called a leaky gut. And a leaky gut simply means that your gut is now leaking in the small intestines, and you're getting more toxins inside your bloodstreams. And that is what causes a lot of issues. We know now things like cancer, and a lot of conditions, that is where they start. So I don't think we can emphasize enough the good results of making sure that we're eating healthy. So, good food, feel good? Food has a huge impact on how we feel, and there are many reasons for this. Good food actually does make us feel good. So what are some of the foods that we can eat? So nutrient contents. Food has a huge impact on how we feel, and there are many reasons for this. So when we eat nutrient-dense diet that is high in whole foods, we are less likely to have any nutrient deficiencies. And actually deficiencies, having mineral deficiencies, is what causes a lot of issues with us, because I hear a lot of people saying, I'm craving for this, and we just think, I want to eat. Actually, that is your brain trying to say, oh, by the way, I'm lacking my vitamin K, I'm lacking my vitamin C, and unless you go and get some blood tests that will confirm what is lacking in you, you just find yourself binge eating. And that is why when we are in that state, when we're craving so much, we put on so much weight. So really, by just making sure that our food does contain the vitamins and the minerals, it will help to eliminate the deficiencies. And vitamins and minerals are that are needed, are cofactors in the production for serotonin from tryptophan. So now this is it's one of the also a hormone that leads to a protein hormone that also helps to make sure that our body is able to produce the melatonin. This is particularly true for vitamins and minerals that are needed in our system. And some of the minerals include folic acid, vitamin B6, vitamin C, as well as mineral zinc, calcium, and iron. So essential fats. Now, the good fats include both omega-3 and omega-6 fats, but the ones that we need for our moods are mainly the omega-3. Now, we can find omega-3, as we know, in in oily fishes like salmon, sardines, and mackerel, but actually they are also found in plant-based diet. So you can find them in things like flax seeds, chia seeds, and walnuts. Omega-3 helps in serotonin production, as well as increasing the efficiency of the serotonin we already have. And a diet high in processed and trans fats can block the beneficial effects of the essential fats. So I think that's why, going back to the deficiencies, that we see that if we're having a lot of processed foods, we're having zero calories and zero vitamins and minerals, and that is what is causing our deficiencies. Has anyone seen this kind of picture somewhere? I remember growing up with this. You know, Mama Mboga, we used to call them, in English translated as mother of vegetables. I don't think we realize how lucky we were growing up with, this is very fresh produce, used to come straight from the farm, and the lady would sit there waiting to buy them in the morning. And when your parents, or rather my mom, goes to buy, I used to get fresh food that is coming straight from the farm. Unfortunately, that has changed. We do get our food miles and miles away, but that is to say that we should still compromise how we eat. I think you still have a lot of benefit eating these foods, even if they are not coming from far, but also where possible, just making sure that we are eating local produced foods. So a diet of whole foods will also nourish the whole hormonal system, including the adrenal and thyroid glands, which, if unbalanced, can cause poor energy and mood. So eating a diet in high whole foods and low refined foods will help to balance blood sugars. I think when it comes to blood sugars, we know that whole foods release the energy very slowly, and also the sugars to your bloodstream. So that, first of all, it keeps you fuller for longer, and also it balances how the sugars are coming into your system, and especially for young kids. This is why sometimes you can see a child become so hyper simply because maybe they've had some Pops or something else. So really, we want to make sure that we're eating as much whole foods as possible. The other thing is the release of energy, the GI. Whole foods are also high in GI, have low global glycemic index, just meaning that they release the energy really, really slowly. So anything that has a high GI is not good for us because it releases the energy very quickly. Yes, you feel full, but after a few hours, you want to eat something else. Processed and refined foods have had many of the nutrients, also have many of the nutrients stripped away, which contributes to the deficiencies. So what can we do? I'm sure we have seen this before, the new stats. It's really all about our lifestyle. And starting with nutrition, we've seen having whole foods, foods that have got high in nutrition, vitamins and minerals. That is what is going to help us to our body to release low energy, and also to keep us full, while at the same time making sure that our gut is well fed, so that whatever is coming from our gut to our brain is the right thing. The other E is for exercise. I know when we talk about exercise, everyone thinks I must go and run, I hate running, or it seems like, the message is very direct to you must be running. But actually it's got nothing to do with that. Especially if you're trying to lose weight, the best way is actually to walk. If you can walk every day, especially after food, for at least an hour, and make sure you stretch thereafter, that is the best thing to do. And it doesn't have to be just that. Just do anything that you enjoy doing, whether it's going to surfing or tennis, whatever you enjoy doing. Or for kids, kicking the ball, adults, we can join in as well. Anything we can do, we just need to continue moving. Water, we know that now our brain is almost 90% water. So really, when we are not drinking enough water, we're actually not even thinking straight. So making sure that our body is well watered really helps. The other one is sunlight. And this is quite interesting. Actually, I just read something very interesting the other day, that a lot of black people do suffer from cancer, especially, I think Scotland was one of the areas that said they had in the entire world, Scotland has the highest rate of cancer. And when they looked at the demographic, black people were the ones having the highest number of cancer in Scotland. So they wanted to understand why. And one of the reasons is obviously because they get the least sunlight, and it's one of the most cosmopolitan cities where there's no sunlight. So when it comes to us black people, especially during winter or when we don't have enough sun, we must supplement vitamin by taking vitamin D3. I can't emphasize that enough. So if you see the sun, just go out and enjoy the sun. And if we are not getting the sun, let's please make sure that we're supplementing ourselves and even our children. It's actually one of the only few vitamins that have been proven to actually work. Temperaments is obviously just making sure everything in moderation. Just because it's very healthy food, it doesn't mean that we should overindulge. Just we're actually having everything we do in moderation. Fresh air is actually quite good for us. It gives us a clear mind, a clear head. So just making sure we're getting out in the forest. I know we live in London, so it sometimes can be quite difficult, but when we do have the opportunities, just making sure we get out. Resting. Now we need to rest a minimum of 7 hours. And I know sometimes it's quite difficult for people, and especially depending on what you do, but rest has been shown to be really, really good for us. It does help our cells to renew, and that is why sometimes when you get ill and you go home and you have a nice bath and you eat, sometimes you just collapse. You just say, and you wake up the next day feeling refreshed. It just means that your body actually needed that rest. So making sure we are resting at least 7 to 8 hours. And trust, we can't do anything without God. So really, it's putting everything that we're doing in God's hand, and only God in His mercies will do wonders and help us to achieve what we're doing. Thank you so much. I hope you have learned one or two things, and I pray that you all stay blessed.
Amen.
Thanks, Sister.